yeah, I had a near-death experience at 27. My heart stopped, and I guess you could say it was a culmination of stress and a culmination of confusion for many years. Working in a very fast-paced environment, working hard, playing hard, and just not really listening to my inner voice, not really understanding how to connect with that inner voice inside of me, and just reaching a point where my body shut down and my heart stopped for about 2 minutes. And it was actually in the Equinox Gym in Grand Central Manhattan. And I was doing a session with my personal trainer, and that changed everything.
Wow.
My spirit came out of my body, and I was looking down at a dead corpse. And at that point, it was basically like, well, we can continue to ascend and sort of go into the heavenly realms or the angelic realms, or we can get back into this body and change the way we live, right? So it was really like this dichotomy and this like direct split of my spiritual energy with my physical energy, and I got to experience that firsthand. And I had never experienced that. I had experimented at parties with, substances and things like this, but I never had an experience of that intensity that really, woke me up to understanding spirituality firsthand.
So
And
are you
before
saying
that,
you
substance.
literally are you saying you literally like saw a change? Like you floated up and you like were able to look down and see the body, or was this a feeling, or what was that like?
Well, when you're dealing like we're, let's just say we're in the third dimension right now. When you go beyond the third dimension, you're in a multi-dimensional reality. So it's really hard to describe in 3D context what was going on. But just imagine, you know, um, just infinite time and space, right? So when you're in a place of infinite time and space, there's no limitation, right? So like 100 things were happening at the same time. So in one of those things that I was conscious of, I was looking at my temporarily dead corpse on the gym floor. I was also in the angelic realm, with angelic light and sound and godlike energy. White light at the end of the tunnel is what's described in most near death experiences. And then either Buddha or Jesus, depending if the person is in a Christian country or Asian country, right? So there's these commonalities that you'll find in the near death experience, and I definitely experienced similar. Um, so really, at the end of the day, there were a lot of things happening simultaneously, and they were all real and they were all true, but they weren't embodied. It was a very
Sure.
it was a very out of body experience, obviously. So, and then I came back in
Yeah.
after
So
about. They said I was out for about 2 minutes, and they got the defibrillator, called the ambulance, and then yeah. So
did you
after
have like a
that,
spiritual upbringing?
um, no, no, definitely not a spiritual.
Wow. So
Uh, yeah,
I'm
not
so
a
intrigued. So
spiritual
what?
upbringing. My parents were
Uh huh.
Christian. I guess
Okay.
they were, but we didn't really go to church or Sunday school. My dad was a
Yeah.
believer in Thoreau, Walt Whitman, like the nature, the Hudson River School paintings, things like that. So my dad found
Mm-hmm.
his answers in nature, so he would go take us out hiking,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really had like a wake up call of like I never really understood like things about Jesus or things about Christianity or things about how it all fit together. It was all sort of disassociated for me, and I could never really fully believe in God because I never had proof.
Mm. So what was that moment like then? Did you have, looking back, you can frame it in context because you now have a lot more context. You're open to a lot more spirituality. In the moment, was that just something that was just it blew your mind and opened everything like in an instant, or was it like, oh, it fits into this kind of box that I'm roughly familiar with, or was it something that's just absolutely out of this world?
It was completely unlike anything I'd ever experienced. I mean, we're born into this body, we stay in this body for pretty much all of our life, and then to experience coming out of it, it doesn't happen to a lot of people, right? It really, people that
Right.
have comas, it happens to people that have comas, people that are clinically dead, people that are in serious accidents. It's not a very common thing. So, but it's more common than you would think. I mean, if you YouTube it, you'll probably find 50,000 accounts on YouTube, but there's 7 billion people in the world. So what's 50,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
Fair, fair.
man, I went home. I didn't go to the hospital that day, and that was a
Wait, what?
result of me not. I didn't go to the hospital because I didn't allow them to take me to the hospital, because one of the things that happened was, when I came back into my body, a rush of adrenaline kicked in, and then a lot of my childhood trauma kicked in, a lot of the things that I never
Totally.
processed, right? So I actually like jumped up, and had a lot of fears of, the people that
Yeah.
were there. And I also had a lot of fears of authority, and a lot of fears of going to the hospital again, because I was arrested when I was a teenager and misdiagnosed bipolar. So I didn't want to go through that